All right, good morning. We are on chapter 14, and this we're continuing on with the sections of initiation and how the process unfolds. And we're at the part that is termed the administration of the oath. The work of the work of the lodge during initiation. We now come to the most solemn part of the initiation ceremony. This ceremony, from one point of view, divides itself into three parts. First, that in which the initiate is concerned and in which he realizes his own august self, the presence, and sees the vision and the plan. Second, that in which the initiator is concerned, in which he wields the rod of fire and affects certain specific results in the body of the applicant. And third, that in which certain words and formulas are committed to the initiate by the Hierophant, in which he carries away within his consciousness in order to better carry out that portion of the plan which concerns himself. And it's always good to remember, and I've said, we've said this before, the soul is the initiate. The soul is the one looking up and out, who wants to go up. Also looking down, which gets the soul to initiation. However, the soul is the one looking up and wants this to happen. So just let's keep that in mind as we're going through. During the whole procedure, the Lodge of Masters congregated without the triangle of force, meaning outside the triangle of force, has been occupied with a threefold work, their aim being to produce certain results in the consciousness of the initiate, and thus to aid the Hierophant in his strenuous endeavor. It must be remembered that under the law of economy, wherever there is an application or transmission of force from one force center to another, there is a consequent diminution in the center of withdrawal. This is the basis of the set times and seasons in connection with the initiatory ceremony. The sun is the source of all energy and power, and the work of the initiator is facilitated when advantage is taken of favorable solar conditions. The times and seasons are ascertained through esoteric solar and cosmic astrology. This being based, of course, on the correct figures, the true mathematical conception, and a real knowledge of the basic facts concerning the planets in the solar system. The horoscope of the initiate is also invariably cast so as to check the time for an individual initiation, and only when the individual signs blend and coincide with the ceremonial chart by which the initiator is guided, is it possible to perform this ceremony. This is the reason why sometimes initiation has to be postponed to a later life, even when the initiate has done the necessary work. So in this is something that we can ponder, which is to get comfortable. Don't worry about this initiation or that initiation, or whether you've been working towards it and you feel this way or that way about it. We understand these things. So had we thought anything else prior to this, it would have been in our own ignorance. I hope that makes sense, because initially we really concern ourselves deeply about where we are at. And I think this is common for everybody. That's why I'm saying it, where we really want to know where we're at, where we're going. And, we get excited, or, we're pushing towards the next level or the next thing, when in fact, a lot of it, as we're seeing, takes time. And it happens for reasons and signs and seasons and all these things. So we don't focus on what level or what initiation we've taken. We just do our work and we get comfortable in this. And then if something happens in this life, then it happens. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. It will be another life. And it's not something to be overly concerned with. We study these things because we're seeing how this process works, so that we can be comfortable, not so they can make us, antsy. So the threefold work of the lodge during the ceremony may be described as follows. First, the chanting of certain mantras set loose energy from a particular planetary center. It must be remembered here that every planetary scheme is a center in the body of the solar logos and embodies a peculiar type of energy or force. According to the energy desired at a particular initiation, so it is transferred via the sun from the planetary center to the initiate. The procedure is as follows. The energy is set in motion from the planetary center through the power of the planetary logos, aided by the scientific knowledge of the lodge and the utilization of certain words of power. It passes thence to the sun where it mingles with pure solar energy. It is then transmitted from the sun to that particular chain in our Earth scheme, which corresponds numerically to the particular originating planetary scheme. That's very deep and pretty not something easily comprehended. It is transmitted from the sun to that particular chain in our Earth scheme, which corresponds numerically to the particular originating planetary scheme. That's tough. That's a tough one to grasp. But we're absorbing, and we're going to absorb that and move on. From there, it is transferred to the corresponding globe and thence to the dense physical planet. By the use of a particular mantra, the initiator then focuses the energy in his own body, using it both as a receiving and a transmitting station. Eventually, it reaches the initiate via the triangle and the sponsors. It will be apparent, therefore, to the student that when the initiator is the Lord of the world, or the physical reflection of the planetary logos of our scheme, the force comes more directly to the initiate than at the first two initiations, wherein the Bodhisattva is the Hierophant. Only at the third initiation will the initiate be in a condition to receive direct planetary force. Second, the concentration undertaken by the lodge assists the initiate to realize within himself the various processes undergone. This is accomplished by working definitely on his mental body and thus stimulating all the atoms through the united thought power of the masters. The work of apprehension is thus directly aided. This concentration in no way resembles hypnotic suggestion or the powerful impress of stronger minds upon the weaker. It takes the form of a strenuous meditation by the assembled masters and initiates upon the realities concerned and upon the self. Through the force thus liberated, the initiate is enabled to transfer his consciousness more easily away from the not self to the divine essentials wherein he is immediately concerned. The thought power of the masters succeeds in shutting out the vibration of the three worlds and enables the applicant literally to leave behind him all the past and to have that far-reaching or far-seeing vision which sees the end from the beginning and the things of time as though they were not. And there are certain planetary influences that, when are connected, this is able to take place. I don't want to dig too deeply into that because I don't know per se. But my thought initially in this, I'll say my thought, and I'm thinking, this is Uranus and Saturn, when they are, potentially connected. There's a certain break there, and I'm certain that that's just one of them. But certain connections are lost and then new ones are gained. And then we've all heard kind of this lightning strike. And that's what this is bringing up in my mind, is where there's that instant, that twinkling of an eye, when a connection is lost or gained. And then now there's this, what's left is something new, and something has been left behind. And that all takes some getting used to, I want to say. This is an electromagnetic thing, and it has a lot to do with our vibration down here as to how much it's cognized, I want to say. Don't listen to me, read the books and experience these things for yourself in some life or another. Third, through certain ceremonial rhythmic action, the lodge greatly assists in the work of initiation. Just as in the Wesak festival, results in force demonstration are brought about by the use of chanted mantrams and the sacred ceremonial pacing and interweaving of the assembled crowd in the formation of geometrical figures. So in the initiation ceremony, a similar procedure is followed. The geometrical figures appropriate for the various initiations differ, and herein lies one of the safeguards of the ceremony. The initiate knows the set figure for his own initiation, but no more. All these three aspects of work of the masters and initiates in lodge assembled occupy them until the moment when the rod has been applied. Through its application, the initiate has become a member of the lodge, and the entire ceremonial then changes. Prior to the taking of the oath and the revelation of the word and secret, the entire ceremonial then changes in that instant, because it's done. Right? Something is done. That's very wild. The sponsors drop back from either side of the initiate and take their places in the ranks, whilst the three Buddhas of activity, or their representatives at the first two initiations, take their stand behind the seat of office of the Hierophant. The lodge members are grouped differently, and initiates of the same degree as the newly admitted applicant place themselves around him and assist in the final part of the ceremony. The remainder of the initiates and adepts stand in their various grades. The earlier three stages of the initiation ceremony are the same for all initiations. In the two final stages, those who are not of equal rank with the newly made initiate, such as first degree initiates at the initiate of a third degree member drop back to the rear of the hall of initiation at Shambhala, and a wall of silence is built up through mantric energy between the two groups. A vacuum, so to speak, is formed, and nothing can then be transmitted from the inner group to the outer. The latter confine themselves to deep meditation and the chanting of certain formulas, and in the inner group around the Hierophant, a dual performance is taking place. A, the newly made initiate is taking the oath, and B, certain words and secrets are being handed over to him. So now we're building this picture of how this is taking place on the inner planes. And you know, we have to use our imagination to some extent to picture this, unless you remember some aspect of this in your in the mind, but or until you remember this, until it's remembered correctly. But let's continue here. There's the two types of oaths. All oaths connected with the occult hierarchy may be divided into two groups. One is the oath of initiation, in which the initiate binds himself by the most solemn pledges never to reveal, on pain of summary punishment, any occult secret, or to express in words outside the initiation hall that which has been committed to his keeping. And two is the oath of office, administered when any member of the lodge takes a specific post in hierarchical work. This oath deals with his functions and with his relation to A, the Lord of the world, B, his immediate superior, C, his fellow workers in the lodge, and D, the world of men whom he is to serve. It is needless to say more here regarding this latter type of oath, as it concerns only officials of the hierarchy. Now, this is also an apparent reflection of how secrets are kept and compartmentalized in our government system, of our governmental system. We are told, we are, there's a reading in of the secrets. We know the penalty of giving those secrets out. They're given to us to hold, and we know who we can discuss things with, where they can be discussed, amongst whom, and we know where not to discuss them and who they cannot be discussed with. So these, this is these reflections, and we know we can know where this governmental structure has come from, whether it's being expressed to the highest level or not, yet is not necessarily of importance. The structure is proper, and even to the point where, and we discussed this in the earlier books, the structure of government in itself and the two-party system is also a reflection, and the higher reflection being in the one party, those who want to keep humanity on a slow pace, and those who want to progress much faster. So we can see this playing out down here in many different ways. And we can also know that the higher expression of this is very beautiful and true. And there's the truism to it. So now we can begin to look at these things as we're seeing it reflected. And as we study the rays and we study the energies, we can see much more about how the reflection happens and how it's taking place, and unconsciously in most cases, but then at some point consciously. And now we are beginning to know more. You can't make it up. All right, let's talk about what is in the oath of initiation, or the oath of initiation, with which the oath of initiation, which we are dealing now, is divided into 3 sections and is administered by the Hierophant to the initiate, being repeated after the initiator, phrase by phrase. It is punctuated at various points by the chanting by initiates of the same degree of words in sensa, which is an ancient language equivalent, and it's equivalent to "so let it be." Maybe we've heard it. We've heard these things previously, and "so it is," or "so mote it be," and "so let it be." The 3 divisions of the oath may be roughly described as 1, a solemn phrase embodying the purpose actuating the initiate, a protestation as to his unchangeable will attitude, and a solemn declaration as to his realization, coupled with a promise to reveal no part of the realized purpose except insofar as his daily life in the world of men and his service for the race will proclaim it. This involves an oath as to secrecy concerning the revealed part of the logoic plan seen in the revelation of the vision. 2, there is an undertaking of a profoundly solemn nature concerning his relation to his other selves, the lodge of which he is a member, and the selves of men everywhere. This involves his attitude to his brothers of all degrees, and includes also a serious undertaking never to reveal the true nature of the self aspect as it has been shown to him in initiation. This includes an oath of secrecy as to the realized relationship of the solar logos to the planetary logos, and of the planetary logos of our scheme to the scheme itself. And this is so deep. This alludes to the need for everyone here to come to these things on their own. It also alludes to, in my mind, that there probably are not words for this. It must be experienced. And I'll leave it at that, because I don't know anything about anything. Right? So we're just going through this together. 3, the enunciation of a solemn undertaking never to reveal to anyone the knowledge that has come to him as to the sources of energy and of force with which he has been brought into contact. This is a triple oath to retain complete silence as to the true nature of energy, as to its laws of manipulation, and a pledge only to use the force placed at his disposal through initiation for the service of the race and the furthering of the plans of the planetary logos. So how about we just say our lips are sealed and move on? And I mean I'm not alluding to anything there. This great oath is couched in different terms according to the initiation undergone, and, as earlier said, is taken in 3 sections with an interlude between each part occupied by certain ceremonial work of the initiated group around the newly admitted brother. I have to consider, as I'm reading this, the fact that these things take place out of time. This ceremony is not on the gross physical plane. Right? This ceremony is, as we're told earlier, is being handled on the abstract levels of the mental plane, or the higher mental plane. I believe it was mentioned it's the second subplane of the mental plane. So, which is where a lot of work takes place. So it's out of time, essentially. What we have to consider there is that fully true, because I had read that these things are taking place in the spiritual triad as well. So maybe it comes down into the second subplane of the mental plane. And then that's where it would be cognized by the individual once that level of consciousness is attained. So we're just pondering on these things as we go. But, there's no, the time as we see it is not. There's only the eternal now. And in consciousness. So this is very deep stuff to ponder on here in our own minds. While we're in the body. It might be here noted that each section of the oath really concerns one of the 3 aspects of divine manifestation. And as the initiate takes his pledge, one of the 3 heads of the department collaborates with the initiator in the work of administration. In this way, energy of a triple nature becomes available according to the different sections of the oath taken. All right, so we know that the mantrams release energy. So now we know that in this way of a triple nature becomes available. So energy of a triple nature is becoming available because of the energies being released. This energy flows down from the 3 major rays, which are the rays of attribute, that of will, wisdom, and intelligence, or will, wisdom, and activity, rather, rays 1, 2, and 3, through the Hierophant and the corresponding departmental head at the first 2 initiations, to the initiate via the group of initiates of the same degree, so that each initiation is a means of stimulation and expansion to all. At the final 5 initiations, the force flows via the 3 Buddhas of activity instead of the departmental heads. Might be of interest to point out here that during this part of the ceremony, the group is bathed in color corresponding to the type of energy in its originating planetary scheme. And it is the work of the initiator to put the initiate in touch with this energy. This pours down upon the group from the moment that segregation has been effected and is brought about by the initiator using certain words and elevating his rod of power. And boy, does that allude to an abstracted reflection on the lower, on the physical plane there of how, each soul is on, we're on different rays, and, the higher meaning of segregation. So maybe there's something there, maybe there's not. But still, everything is a reflection down here. So we can know much more. And as above, so below. This is the deep meaning of this. The correspondences are always there. The three Buddhas of activity, who are the great energy centers upon our planet, then touch the tip of the rod with their staffs of office. A certain mystic word is jointly uttered by them, and the downpour begins, continuing to the end of the ceremony. The question may be asked whether any initiates break their oath. Very rarely, for we must remember that no initiation is taken until a certain stage has been reached. A few cases have occurred, but as the Lord of the world is cognizant of all that transpires, is always one, the future, as well as the present and the past, no opportunity is ever given to an initiate to reveal that which is hidden. Intent may exist, but opportunity will lack. The initiate who thus sins in intention will be struck dumb and sometimes dead prior to thus failing. So how about that for a failsafe? That's something to be pondered, and reason why we would not reveal more than what is offered and what is offered. These books are offered. These books contain all that we need to know and to help and guide others to know. When the time comes, they will know more. They do not, there's no need to go beyond, because what is beyond could potentially damage others' growth. So we stick to the material. This is exoteric material now, but we're learning about what is esoteric, and meaning exoteric. It's given for all of us as a great gift to be able to know ourselves. We don't need anymore. It's all what we need is always provided to get us to the places. And we meet each person with where they are at and what they can receive. There's absolutely no need to go any further beyond that, and in most cases we cannot anyway. So again, We stick to the books. And if we do that, there is never any danger, so long as we're meeting people where they're at in their journey. We just tell them the next thing that is needed to be heard, because that's the way it happens for us. There's still levels of knowledge or levels of knowing, even at the master level. So there's still things that they will receive in knowledge. There are things outside of our system that have not been revealed even to them. And now we don't even need to go there, because this is our level and this is what we're working through, essentially. And I don't mean to always, pontificate profusely on these things. But where are we getting, what is our next level? And what is it that each of us needs to hear to bring about the next expansion today and tomorrow, and the eventual larger expansion? There's so much that can be discussed. We can say so many things and we can talk at so many levels that even here, if we don't know, about what's happening on the inner planes, there's no need to talk about that. We're still dealing on, earth life for the most part. Although, and there is a lot to know and experience here, and there are expansions of consciousness available to us here and now that we are working for, and will eventually get us connected to the higher and other things. So we went through the administration of the oath. We see that there's something definitely happening in a moment after that energy is received. That individual is now changed and is different to whatever extent. They're working with something new, and this is great news. And this happens at each step of this. We're moving into a new field of awareness. We move into a new time of growth, and it's all very profound. So we'll leave it there, and tomorrow we will get into chapter 15, which is giving the word. All right, have a great day. Thanks.